So just to turn to what we're doing at the Trust, let me just say briefly a little bit about what we work on and how we do it. So firstly, what we work on. Joel, as we all know, Joel was always committed to helping people who were less fortunate than he was. And that's how he used to put it himself, without any sort of broad theory and so on. He felt that it was appropriate to help people who were less fortunate than he was, particularly in Africa. In the Trust's early years, he funded a mixture of work, some of which helped people directly and some of which tackled the causes of poverty. And he was never shy of funding radical organisations like Global Justice Now or Global Witness. Over the years, we've thought carefully about how we can make the most difference as a relatively small trust. And we've come to realise that we can take more we can take more risks than others, supporting work that's genuinely hard to fund. And that includes new startup initiatives and also tough campaigning initiatives that don't immediately have public appeal. Of course, we recognise that whilst the UK does a lot of good in the world, we also enable quite a lot of harm. And if we're not addressing the harm here at home, then what basis do we have to talk about development abroad? And the second question, well, if we're not doing it, who else is going to address problems here in the UK? So as a result, we've come to focus particularly on supporting work to tackle global corruption and tax abuse. We believe these social harms come at a huge cost to citizens around the world. They undermine democracy, they deepen inequality, they constrict public services, and they inhibit climate justice. On the other hand, they benefit a small, wealthy minority. So there's a fight to be had, and disproportionate gains to be won. And again, that was something that Joel always brought to the fore. With any kind of funding decision, he would say, is there an opportunity to have disproportionate impact? And this is an area where we feel relatively modest amounts of money can have disproportionate impact. Of course, Brexit has shone a spotlight on how these kinds of issues are playing out here in the UK, the same as in every country around the world. It seems to me that the UK's rich tradition of trusts is one of the bulwarks against the barbarians, badly needed in these times. So we're delighted to be talking with other foundations about strengthening British democracy and helping shape the kind of country that we're already in the process of becoming. Who can stand by in these political times? Turning to how we work, in a word, we're active. We've realised that because the Trust is allocating resources, we're taking strategic decisions about how civil society as a whole should develop. And so we've come to think that we better do that with our eyes open. We need to understand the issues and organisations we're supporting. Otherwise, it's like gardening with your eyes shut. You don't know if you're planting flowers on a footpath or watering a tree that will never grow. We recognise that any social change is a collective effort, and it takes time and it's contested, especially the sorts of issues that we work on. Strong vested interests oppose the kind of changes that we and many of us here want to see. So we encourage organisations to work together and collaborate where that makes sense. In particular, we're working with various people here on improving coordination among groups working on tax and on corruption. And this draws on a strategic retreat that we ran earlier in the year, and we're planning to run again in the future. We also work with others to identify how civil society can be strengthened and new priorities to work on. There's much to do here. For instance, at the moment, we're starting to look at the public impact of the big four accounting firms. And I've got to say, I love this area. I think there's much to be done. And it's become mainstream now to question the broader impact that they're having on society. They're totally opaque and unaccountable. Rather small numbers of people are making massive amounts of money. So there's a real question for civil society, and that's a question that we're trying to just stimulate along a bit. What could or should civil society do about this? We're also encouraging more donors to come together and work in all the areas that we're supporting, and delighted to be talking with a number of donors on that. I think, as we all know, Joel always believed in the power of individuals and small organisations to make a difference. The heart of his method was to back people to do great things, and really to encourage people and help people feel that they could achieve impossible things. And we aim to continue this as best we can at the Trust. We try to help people build stronger organisations and not just to deliver projects. So as Julia said, we provide unrestricted funding where we can, often over several years. And we take an interest in how organisations develop and build for the long term. So quite often I get into conversation with fascinating people doing extraordinary work, and I say, I think what you're doing is brilliant, and I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about who's doing the bookkeeping, and how's the board going, and what's the fundraising plan in the next couple of years' time. And it's a privilege to be able to do that and help people just build up and think about how they're getting involved in a longer term struggle, a longer term fight. For instance, we recently put on a workshop for small NGOs around fundraising, and that seemed to go well, so we're looking to doing more of that sort of thing as well. In general, we fund UK-based organisations so that we've got a chance of getting to know them and the issues they're working on, the context they're working in. But we do still retain a link to South Africa for obvious reasons. And on that note, I'm delighted to announce the start of a new partnership with the Canon Collins Education and Legal Assistance Trust. We're funding, with whom I'm sure as you know, Joel had a very long and deep relationship, intimately involved with the struggle for many years. We're funding 4 Joel Joffe scholarships for young lawyers from disadvantaged backgrounds in South Africa who work for public benefit. And the trustees thought long and hard about how best to use Joel's legacy and use it to inspire others to build on it, and not just to try to preserve it in aspect. So we're really excited about this step with Canon Collins. We'll see how it goes, but we think it's got real potential, and we hope also we might be able to bring some more donors on board to expand the scheme. Come and have a chat later on if it could be of interest, as they say. So just to wind up, in these turbulent times, it's easy to feel dispirited about the big picture. What can we do as individuals in the face of the incredible political chaos in this country, let alone more widely, and the palpable breakdown of our political systems? We've got political chaos, we've got Donald Trump, we've got the rise of the far right, we've got power of huge and quite unaccountable corporations. But it seems to me that if there's any lesson to be taken from Joel's work with Nelson Mandela, it's that we can make a difference, and that we mustn't give up. Joel worked tirelessly to defend Mandela and the co-defendants. Of course, democracy was a long time coming in South Africa, and it's taken a torrid route since 1994. But now, to some extent, it's our turn to put our shoulder to the wheel. Progressive forces can win through and make society more just for everyone, as they're starting to again in South Africa today. And even when we're not winning, the long years of the struggle show that we have to keep fighting. So that's why I hope that in the years ahead, we'll be able to look back together and say that the Joffe Charitable Trust has played a part in working with you and with many others to make the world a fairer place. Thank you very much.